Oof. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. We are now launching into the portal, into the portal sphere. Hope you guys are doing good. Thanks so much for joining me. It's Saturday night. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I will do my best to make you as entertained as I know how. And hope you guys are having a great weekend, whatever it is you've been doing this weekend so far. I'm always honored that you guys come in and hang out with me, though, because it just makes me feel valuable, makes me feel important. And hope you guys are doing good. Did some testing again today. Again, coming up in the near future, it's not going to be too much longer. I'll be doing multiple streams, basically sending my stream out to a service that'll then send it to both YouTube and to Twitch. And we're going to try that out and see what happens. I don't know. It doesn't hurt because Twitch is really a big community. Hi, Deb. Good to see you. And it would be a great opportunity to introduce the Paranormal Portal to a whole nother sphere of potential listeners and viewers and stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, the thing is that I'm not a real technical guy. I've done technical jobs in the past. I worked IT, and so I can figure things out real well. I was an IT person for a college in Minnesota back in the day, but it's not beyond the scope of me doing it. It is just a lot of work, though, and I'm not always. It's a whole different sphere of tools. when you're dealing with streaming and multimedia and stuff. So there's quite a bit of figuring out what the hell's going on. And that's what I'm working on. So I don't know if it's something that you guys necessarily are excited about or not, but I'm excited about it because, I just love the opportunity to let more people know what we're doing here. You guys have built an incredible community around the show, and I've been absolutely honored that you choose here for that to happen. But going forward, and I don't know, it may be premature. It was as was suggested by John LaBella earlier. It's like, maybe just worry about the followers first. But I was thinking, one thing I do know about Twitch is that, generally speaking, not wholly so, but their listener demographic tends to be on the younger side for the most part. That's not exclusively so. I know I listen over there, and I'm no spring chicken, and I know that several others of you out there are listening over there. But if you are a Twitch user and you're somebody that's been around for a while and have been a part of the shows, I would love to get in touch with you. I will be looking forward to creating mods over there to watch for any trolls, because when it does go full steam, when it is working, I plan to merge the chats together so that YouTube can see both YouTube chats and Twitch chats on stream, and vice versa, that Twitch can see YouTube as well. And so I don't want one side to be full of a bunch of tools with their keyboard muscles just being idiots. So I'm hoping that some or a couple of you will step up and say, hey, you know what, I'd like to mod over on Twitch. So just let me know. Again, you gotta have been a part of the show for a while, or been around for a while, or somebody that's a known commodity, because I don't hand out these wrenches for free. I just, I want to be careful with who we put in that position, because I've seen it abused in the past. I've seen people that are mods misuse their mods, their mod tools, and I won't go into specifics, but yeah, it can be a real logistical nightmare, because you get a lot of feelings hurt, and then it puts me in a position where I gotta try to make it okay, and so I definitely put a lot of stock in our mods. We have the best mods in all of YouTube, no question. And now I'm looking for the best mods for Twitch. So if you are someone that is adept at YouTube or at Twitch and has been over there for a while, and you're kind of aware of how things work, then please let me know. Okay, so we are going to be doing, of course, the news. The news is always where we start. And then we're going to do the question of the week. Special thanks to Chucky for making the question of the week happen. That's always awesome. And then we're going to be doing some Cryptid Corner. And also, as you may have expected, as I mentioned, I got this stuff on standby. It's all rigged up over there, and it's going to be a passive part of the show. We're not actively investigating, but we're just leaving it out there in case something wants to let us know it's here. And we'll see what happens. If things get triggered, then great. I've got things a little repositioned tonight. I got a couple of cat balls up there. I've got the REM. As if on cue. How you doing? Thanks for stopping in. I'm glad someone could make it for the show. There we go. That's that. It's an opportunity. As things go, if something pops off, then we'll know about it. That is really cool. Great timing. No kidding, Michelle. Wow. That was stunning, actually. Well played. Well played. I wish it would, it would be more, more interactive. Like, hey, this is Phil just swinging by. See what's going on in here, or something like that. Because it'd be nice to have that ability as well. But at least we can tell if someone's here, or they can let us know if they're here, because those are, certainly indicators. And I realized I forgot to turn on the ghost radar. So let's do that. It's the 18th today. I like this ghost radar because it does log what's happened, in case anything really spectacular pops off. We would have a running log. And every time I run it for the show, I always put the accurate date on there, so it'll correspond to the accurate show dates. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on things just to see if we're indeed alone here. That was so funny. Wow. What are the odds that I would just talk about it and then boom, it was triggered? That's incredible. That's really cool. Just gives me tingles. All right. So let's get going here. Yeah, the ghost pyramid it's a red and green light, so it's good for yes and no questions. You can use it for any binary questions, male or female. Like if you're male, make the red light shine. If you're female, make the green light shine, or vice versa, whatever you want. And if you have a spirit that wants to communicate, they can certainly utilize that as a quick way to do yes and no's. It's a lot more expedient, I think, than just your average K2, hits, because you got a lot of differentiating there. It's like, if no, then do nothing. But if yes, then do something. Well, it might just be nothing. And so to leave that as an option of an answer is still ambiguous. So with the yes-no detector, the pyramid, it does give you the opportunity to give two options. And if the spirit is on one side, the one side will light up. If it's on the other side of the tool, the other side will light up. So it does use a proximity detector. It's not EMF readings as much as it's just detects things getting in the way. So, and again, the detection range is very low. I've only got it to about a foot in perimeter from the left or right of that tool to light up or to make an indicator change. Very much the same for the REM pod. Basically, what you see is the effective range of the antenna to pick up something. So a presence would have to get pretty close in order to make it trigger. It's not just going to be, something a little more distant and hard to tell. The cat balls are just simple enough. We've used them a bunch on the show. If they move or if they're, I don't necessarily think it's motion though. I think it's more energetic because I have yet to see them move, but I've seen them go on, and I know when I'm holding them that just a little subtle movement isn't enough to trigger them. So it must be energetic or something that makes those trigger. But I've not seen them move. And that's what you're hearing in the background is my cousin listening in. He's actually working in Tennessee. Cousin Paul's hanging out with me tonight. And so I got him on speakerphone. So he's tuning in the old fashioned way. He doesn't have the ability to have a stream going. So he's listening in. But if you hear that extra voices, that is not paranormal. That is not at all. That's just his work radio. So don't be alarmed if you're hearing extra voices. That's just the way that works. But anyway, okay. So again, there's no co-host tonight, just you and me. So you guys are the co-hosts. Utilize the chat, utilize at Paranormal Portal if you want me to see something. If you have something that you want to say, that's how you can best get my attention. Otherwise, the phone lines will be live. I mean, they're live now, but when I'm going to do the news, it's really hard for me to keep an eye on them. And if I'm in the heart of a story, it's hard to see when somebody calls in. But utilize the chat as well if somebody's trying to call, if you guys know about it. Because that helps me a bunch. Like, hey, Brent, you got a phone call? You guys are awesome. All right. So that's all the laundry I can think of right up front. So without further ado, let's get to the news and find out what I've curated for your interest in the news. Well, my interest anyway. Let's see what I got for you. The news. Almost trusted news, as it were. That's what we got going for us here. The only news I trust. Damn right, John. John, when you're not here, I miss seeing that. So it's nice when you're here. All right. So welcome to the news desk, where I'm going to try to do my best to teach you something about the world around us. And some of it's historical. Some of it's not so much, but In first news, this is from extraterrestrial category on a wonderful site that we use all the time, unexplained-mysteries.com. Please, please, please support this site. It's an amazing site, but there's a new article, new analysis of Avi Loeb's alien sphere rules, raising more question. Now, again, Avi Loeb, I think that's Loeb. I don't know. I've never heard it pronounced, so I'm just going with my own pronunciation. He's the Harvard professor who is one of the people that went on the record saying he thought Oumuamua, that asteroid-type object that passed by a few years ago, might have in fact been alien in an alien build or craft or tech or something. And he received a lot of kickback from that, but he's sticking with his guns, and he's decided to embark on these quests to look for evidence of alien visitation. And he did some kind of survey over in the, I don't know, is it the Sea of China or somewhere, but he found these little metal spherules, these spheres of metal, and he said that those definitely are not from here. Now, I don't know if they're necessarily extraterrestrial or not, but his contention is they very well may be. Again, I don't know a lot of the details. But let's see what the new story is here. All right, the Harvard astronomer and his team had found the objects while searching for fragments of interstellar meteorite. Oh, because that's right, a meteorite had come in and exploded over the ocean, and they did a survey right in the path of that, where they believe some of the material from this meteorite might have come down. Back in June, Loeb, who had been on an expedition to search for pieces of an interstellar object that fell somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, published a blog article describing the discovery of mysterious metal spherules with a composition he claimed to be anomalous when compared to human-made alloys. We found 10 spherules, he said. These are almost perfect spheres of metallic marbles. When you look at them through a microscope, they look very distinct from the background. It has material strength that is tougher than all space rock that were seen before. Loeb's claims proved controversial, to say the least, and as things stand, his paper on the findings has yet to be peer-reviewed. Many scientists question whether or not the spherules were actually from a meteorite, while others criticized his conclusions on their supposedly anomalous nature. Now, according to a new paper published in the journal Research Notes of the AAS, the spherules might actually have a rather mundane explanation. Of course they will. Somebody's got to debunk it. Contents of nickel, beryllium, lanthanum, and uranium are examined in the context of a known human source of contamination and found to be consistent with coal ash. Really? So it's coal ash, folks. As suggested from a publicly available coal chemical composition database, wrote author Patricio A. Gallardo. Chemical composition analysis revealed consistency with coal fly ash, a waste product of combustion of coal in power plants and steam engines. The meteoritic origin is disfavored. If Gallardo is correct, then it means that the spherules are not even from space at all. Whether or not Loeb is likely to ever agree with this interpretation, however, remains to be seen. So there you go. I don't know. They've got a bunch of useless links on the bottom. But anyway, could they be from coal? Well, maybe. I mean, of course, I'd love to think that they were some alien metal that we'd never seen before and we could learn something from. But then you find out that they might be from coal ash. Well, that's a lot less romantic. But anyway, what the hell do I know? I know absolutely nothing. That's why I'm not a scientist, I guess. So that's the first story up tonight on our stories. And yeah, maybe a little disheartening. But then again, those that debunk stuff often love to just drop turds in the punch bowl. They live for that kind of stuff, folks. Let's get to the next one here. And this is also from unexplained-mysteries.com. I don't know when this happened. I just saw footage of some of the launches, and it looked like it went fine. But this is from Space and Astronomy on unexplained-mysteries.com. Elon Musk's Starship explodes during second orbital test flight. Man, that's tough. You just think of like the cash that just went poof. There's so much money and resources invested in these things, and I really want to see Elon win. I really do. I really want to see this guy just put it back in the face of all the detractors. He sure gets a lot of hate ever since he bought Twitter. It's like, are you kidding me? What the hell? I mean, the guy's at least doing something he believes in. God bless him, you know. The enormous spacecraft successfully reached space for the first time, but was unable to make it home in one piece. Earlier this year, the maiden test flight of Musk's ambitious yet next-generational spacecraft, Starship, ended in failure when the vehicle exploded a mere 4 minutes after launch. It was hoped that today's second test flight, which saw the enormous vehicle blast off into the heavens from the Starbase launch site in Texas, would see Starship reach space, orbit the Earth, and then end the mission by splashing down in the Pacific Ocean. Sadly, though, while the spacecraft did manage to reach space for the first time, and its two stages successfully separated around 2.5 minutes into the flight, the signal from the second stage was ultimately lost, suggesting that it had in fact self-destructed. What we do believe right now is that the automated flight termination system on the second stage appears to have been triggered late, very late, in the burn as we were headed downrange over the Gulf of Mexico, said SpaceX engineer John Insprucker. Keen to look on the bright side, the firm noted that the failed flight was still a learning experience. With a test like this, success comes from what we learn, and today's test will help us improve Starship's reliability as SpaceX seeks to make life multiplanetary, it said in a statement. And that's exactly why, if they gave away free tickets on this deal, I'd still be like, nope. I don't want to be that guy. It's wonderful. It's exciting. And I look forward to a future where we regularly go into space, and maybe we even take vacations on the moon, things like that. I mean, that'd be amazing. But I don't want to be one of the people to be on the testing block. Definitely not there. Call me when it's finished, and people do it all the time. Then I'm in. All right, so there you go, Starship. It's a learning curve. I guess that's the takeaway. I guess they're learning. God, those are expensive lessons, though. Holy God, that's really expensive stuff. I mean, it's not like denting the Prius or something, you know. Oh, I hit a curb. Dang it. I mean, it's like, well, there goes 7 generations of wealth right there. Well, what do you do? It's just money, right? Can't take it with you. All right, the last story tonight on the news is also coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and this one is interesting. It's not real long, is it? No, it's not real long. This has to do with the thylacine. This is from Nature and Environment, and I haven't read this, so I don't know what we're going to be covering here, but it says, new research dispels myths about the last captive thylacine. I didn't know there were myths about it, but let's find out what those are. New claims have come to light in recent years implying that there were 2 thylacines at the zoo and that the last one died of neglect. There are few extinct species as widely debated as the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, a type of carnivorous marsupial, that died out after the last known specimen passed away back in captivity back in 1936. The exact circumstances surrounding its demise had recently been called into question following a paper published by scientists Robert Paddle, and Catherine Medlock, who maintained that the thylacine seen in widely distributed footage from the time was not actually the last, and that it was a second female Tasmanian tiger that had died at Hobart Zoo on September 7th, 1936. There's also been a rumor suggesting that the last thylacine had died of neglect after being locked out of its den on a particularly cold night. Both of these claims have since been disputed in another new paper by researchers Gareth Linnard and Stevens Slydome, who maintained that there was no evidence to suggest that the last thylacine died of neglect, while the second female specimen had died long before 1936. Examining the argument offered by Paddle and Medlock revealed instances where the evidence was presented in an incomplete form, did not support the statements made, or was presented out of context, they wrote. Further, the evidence cited was limited and failed to take into account multiple additional contradictory sources. The findings indicated that the two thylacines had been caught by the Delphin family in Tasmania in 1930, but that only one of them survived and was subsequently sold to Hobart Zoo. The zoo would have also considered the animal to be extremely valuable at the time, making it very unlikely that it would have been neglected to look after it properly. It was most certainly not the casually disregarded animal of popular modern myth. Instead, it was the most valuable animal at the zoo, said Leonard. When it died, a replacement was immediately sought for 30 pounds, then 40 pounds the following year. In context, the latter sum of 49% of the entire amount spent on animal purchases between 1934 and the closure of the zoo in late 1937. So it was literally they wanted a replacement, and I can imagine why. That was their claim to fame, is having the last Tasmanian tigers. But yeah, but there's sufficient evidence, I think, to suggest that they may not have been the last. They're still out there. I like to think they are anyway. And judging from the two people that I've talked to who have seen them, I believe them. I believe that they're still out there. It's crazy. I don't know, and it's just the encounters are real matter of factly like, oh, yeah, look at that, there it is. It wasn't like they were looking; they weren't out on expedition checking to see if they could find one. They just happened to stumble onto them, which I think is both hilarious and kind of comical. It's kind of like the whole search for the panda. You know, the panda, according to Lloyd Pye, is about as smart as a box of hammers, as he put it. And it took 60 years of expeditions to finally find a living, or to prove that pandas were real. And people thought, oh, there can't be a black and white panda. And, oh, it could never live, or the bear. There couldn't be a black and white bear that lives in greenery all around. That just doesn't make sense. And then the other argument was there cannot be a bear that exists on plants. That just isn't possible. But wrong on both accounts. They were black and white and are black and white, and they do live in green places and somehow remained hidden for 60 years of aggressive searches. And then they found them, and then, oh, they were real. And they are vegetarian. Who would have thunk it? Anyway, very curious. Very cool. I don't know. I like to think they're still out there. I think they very well could be. There's a lot of, we have a lot of arrogance. Human beings have a lot of arrogance that we just know the planet. We know it. We lived here. We've been here since we've started out. We know what's here and what's not. It's like, no, we really don't. In fact, I think the whole scope of this show proves, or at least would suggest, that there's a lot we don't know. And certainly what animals exist and how many extinct species have suddenly shown up again that you've heard about in your lifetime. I know there's several. First it was the coelacanth, that fish that was believed to be extinct for millions of years, and then somebody found one that was hauled in from a fishing village in Africa. They were catching them all the time. So yeah, they're alive and well. We just don't always know where to look. We're not as good in the wild as we think we are, I think, is what the takeaway there is. But there you have it. I don't know. I couldn't begin to know for certain, but I do like to think they're out there. Why not? That's going to wrap up the news, folks. So let's get back to the rest of the show and see just what the hell else I got lined up for you. Just bunches of fun. Just bunches. The hell happened? What's going on? Weird. My chat disconnected somehow. Are we still streaming? What's going on, folks? Unable to connect. Please try again later. That's not the way this is supposed to work. It still says it's connected. It says excellent connection. But let me close this chat and reopen it here. I'm going to do another pop-out chat. What the hell's going on, folks? Yeah, there it is. Okay, yep, still here. I don't know, my chat client on my computer just kind of pooped the bed all of a sudden, but yep, we're connected and doing fine. I got back from the news and I was in horror. No. Every streamer's nightmare. Right there. You don't want to lose your stream, for God's sakes. That's my bread and butter. Well, at least it's butter. Refreshing water, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we are now going to get to a part of the show that's I love. I hope you guys love. I guess we'll put that up. In case any of our unseen visitors stop by, want to trigger a device, let us know they're here. By golly, that's how they can do it. And just right there, there's a table of fun just waiting for you. You just got to touch one of the devices. And should light up. Something should light up. Something should happen. It was really cool at the beginning of the show. I was just talking about it, and then the pyramid triggered. That was awesome. And those things happen. It's just like, oh, what else? What else? What else? You know, it just gets me all motivated and interested. But anyway, hey Jeremy, hello to you. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in and checking out the portal. It's very nice to meet you. Hopefully you love it and just can't get enough and you decide to subscribe and make this your new home. Then tell your friends and bring your friends. This is Bring a Friend night, by the way. Who all brought friends? Show of hands. Anyone? No? Okay. Well, all I can do is try. I try to do these motivational shows and Bring a Friend night. Thought that was fun. Yeah, good to see you, Jeremy. Cool. Thanks for coming in. So yeah, we're gonna get to one of my favorite parts of the shows, actually, and this is one that we've been doing for a while now. We did used to do it every live show, but we've since backed away, and we do it once per show now, or once per week, and it is the Discord question of the week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Discord question of the week, where we dive into all the questions about the paranormal that we can think of. Each week, we pose one question to our Discord family. I guess I should put a link in the chat. I've kind of neglected to do that, too. To join the Discord, we've got a good server, https://discord.gg/paranormal portal. And there we go. And then I just got to pin it as soon as I can and make it stick to the top of the show. God dang it. Why do they put that heart right in the wrong place? Anyway, there's a link pinned in the YouTube chat for the Discord server if you want to join in. That's how you do it. If you click in there, you will come to a page much like this. And this is our Discord server. Let me just look and see if anyone has come in. Oh, Lulabelle came in. Wave to say hi. Anyone else? Let's see if anyone else has joined us since then. Nope, that was Lulabelle's our latest new user on Discord. But if you're not familiar with Discord, just give it a shot. Click that link, create a username, etc. And we do have a tutorials here, Discord tutorials right here. And if you look at this, these are some videos to help you. And using Discord is really not difficult. It's not hard. It just takes a little getting used to. Whereas, how do you do what you want to do? Well, these are the discussion threads on the left. You just click with your mouse on one of them, and it'll bring you to that group, and then you can go through the different posts people have made about that subject, in this case, Dogman. And then there's Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, UFO, extraterrestrial encounters, cryptids, music, strange phenomena, paranormal library, and paranormal movies. People are recommending books and movies, as well as the paranormal marketplace, which is or the portal marketplace, where you can find both the t-shirt and gear that we sell, as well as things that our Discord community has offered for sale as well. So there are things there that you might want to check out. I see there's a new post here. You can, yes, hallelujah, goat. You can post your crazy crafty stuff for sure. If you want to make it available to anybody, go ahead. Yep. Just feel free. And then we do giveaways every month here on the Discord server for Discord members. So, and that is a free t-shirt, a Paranormal Portal t-shirt. So, if you're interested, that's how you do it. So anyway, what we're here for is the question of the week, which is this thread right here. And where is it? There it is. All right. So this is the question for this week. Special thanks goes to Chucky Danger once again for keeping this rolling. I appreciate it immensely, brother. You're doing a hell of a job. I don't know if Chucky's in here tonight, but at any rate, we'll salute him from here. All right. So the question this week, in your own opinion, what do you think would happen if something akin to aliens landing on the White House lawn were to happen? Cryptic Chaos comes in first. So the reactions are going to be divided. Some won't be surprised. Some will freak out. And some will still think it's fake. Media-wise, I'm not sure. Maybe the government won't try to hide it. Or maybe they'll play it off. Yeah, they'll probably say it's some kind of publicity stunt. Some reason there's like a desire in government to not disclose truth very easily. And I don't know why for sure that is, but there's no doubt that it's really something. Thank you, Cryptic Chaos, for your thoughts. EM says, people will say it's fake, believers and non-believers alike. Yeah, that's probably true. Arc Blaster comes in next. Complete media blackout and immediate takeover or immediate cover-up story. Even when we see the obvious, government as lies to us about everything, like it's policy or controlled by an external government / society. Proof? ? The past 3.5 years. Going right for the controversy. Well, I don't know enough about that to have an opinion, but Moni G comes in next. It would be immediately covered up and sad to say, it would be fatal for any beings visiting, because the government will kill and dissect anything they do not know. I think, given if let's say, for instance, there was a level playing field from the aliens to the people. It was level. I'm trying to make my hands level here on the screen. So technologically wise, they had different technology, but it wasn't necessarily more powerful than our technology. It's just different. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the first thing people would think of is, how did they get here? Get that craft. I want to take it apart, right down to the chassis. And what are these things? What makes them tick? Let's get one of those to the lab. That would be the immediate reaction by probably several in government. But given the fact that these beings are clearly technologically advanced to such a degree that, they could be, thousands or even a million or so years advanced to us. We don't know, but I don't think I think if they came and landed on the White House lawn, they're not coming to just be spanked. Like, they didn't make that gesture just to be, put on a pegboard and slowly dissected. I don't think that would be their game plan at all. In fact, they might be coming to say, hey, you guys are done screwing up. And God bless them if they do, because God, we need help. But anyway, that's my take on it. Hallelujah. Goat comes in. In such circumstances, humanity would instinctively show a pattern usually observed in historic meetings with the unknown and other things they do not know about. That is the initial tendency to understand, suppress, and subject the entity to scientific scrutiny and tests to understand it's what the hell it is. However, if the visitor or their craft have overwhelming capabilities, oh yeah, I guess we're on the same page here. Our loving human race would lean towards defensive or even aggressive measures and try to take them out, trying to remove the threat or the potential harm to us stupid species. If it happened, we're all screwed because there would be a retaliation no matter what from the aliens. Yeah, I don't think they would let that. I don't think they would let those in charge play that game. I just don't think they would. Like, if they are advanced, chances are they're also very, very aware of what goes on down here. That's part of probably what's been going on for the last 50 years is them just making sure they understand completely what's going on down here, all the different situations. And they're probably well aware of the duplicity in our species. So I don't think they would allow us to play that game. James Jack comes in next and says, normally they would cover it up with a lie or put Brandon out there to say something dumb to change the subject of the matter. But it's worried me that when they finally admitted to UFO activity, one reason government likes to admit anything is if they're going to use it as a deception later, probably to fake their own UFO attack. When I was younger, I told my close friends, I wonder if our government would ever use their tech to make a false UFO for maybe more control with one last ace of spades that they're up their sleeves. Yeah, I mean, I guess anything's possible. There's certainly those that say that, the TR-3Bs and God only knows what else. The leader of Skunk Works saying that we had the technology to bring ET home back in the 90s. That's saying something. That's not a random statement with no gravity to it. I mean, it could have been just gloating, I guess, or posturing. But why would you say something like that? We have the technology right now to take ET back home. Well, what are we lobbing rockets off in Texas if that's the case? Let's step it up. We can get, I'm ready to check out the stars. Let's go. I don't know. Hallelujah Goat comes back and says that's not a good observation. I don't know what that means. What's not a good observation? Anyway, Ash Hermit comes up next, says, sadly, I think there would be a chaos because many would feel their belief systems were being challenged or destroyed. Others want to eradicate anything they don't understand or align with their opinions. I got to remember to inhale. And the spin media would put it on to what? The spin media would put on it to get more views. Scary things get more views than happy ones. True that, yeah. I don't even want to think what the government spin would be. Yeah, that's a good point. Karen Alberting comes in next, says, I have no idea. It would probably be denied at first, and then there would be all sorts of conspiracy theories and blaming it on the Chinese or the Russians before admitting it really happened. Then that would happen about 50 to 60 years later when most people alive when it happened are gone. That's how most things go. I'm being cynical, of course, because if it involves the government, it's not something I trust at all except to be dishonest. Sorry about the typos. No worries. This isn't an English test. Karen Alberting comes back and says, sorry, I didn't mean to bring up government either, but it did land on the White House lawn. I'll keep it spooky from now on, I promise. No, that's fine. I mean, it's a pretty, it's a accurate reflection. I mean, if they land on the White House lawn, that's certainly going to involve government. And I think if anything in our modern age, it's very clear that people don't trust government very much right now, maybe for any number of reasons. And I'm not doing a left-right thing here. I'm just saying, look, we all know we've been lied to about a whole bunch of things, and the list keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's gotten to the point now the biggest casualty of our modern age is truth. It's just no longer possible really to figure out what is true, unless it's your own experience, and even then you got to question it. But so I don't take any problem. I don't have any problem with people bringing up the government angle because that is very valid. But again, I think if they landed on the lawn, they're all done hiding in that case. They're all done pretending, and they're here to make a statement at that point, is in my opinion. Rachel comes in and says if it's a ground landing, then a huge perimeter would be set up around the area. There might be a internet blackout. After a few days, the blackout may be lifted. Officials will start to talk to the public. From there on, it's anyone's guess. Yeah, very true. Karen Alberding says, I bring my hubby every night. Does that count? Oops, meant for chat. I don't understand. Oh, because it's bring a friend tonight. That's true. That does count. Of course, Neil's no longer just a friend. He's already family. So, yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, so great takes. I appreciate your guys' feedback on this, and you're right. I mean, you can't have a question like that without some, governmental discussion. And I think we're all pretty much on the same page that, look, we don't know what they're doing in Washington, but they got a whole club over there that we're not invited to. That's pretty clear. And that's actually very terrifying. But, whatever way you lean politically, I don't think it really matters because we're all being lied to, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. It's just, man, I worry for the future that my boys will inherit. All right. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for weighing in on this. There wasn't a ton of feedback this time, but that's okay. I mean, it's a pretty quick, poignant question. It's like, what do you think would happen? I think you're right. I think, but I don't really necessarily worry about what the government would think or try to do. Because, again, I think if the aliens or the extraterrestrials or the people from the stars or from wherever they're from, if they make a statement that bold, they know exactly what they're doing. They're not just stumbling onto, oh, this looks like a nice place to set down. They know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think that's, when they make a statement like that, the shell game will be over, at least. And maybe they will step in. Maybe they'll, decide, hey, we're going to kind of guide you here because you guys are going all over the map and this is not good. So, but come to your own distinction. Now, I will say one thing when it comes to extraterrestrials that really puzzles me is that apparently if you pay attention to the alien astronaut theories, then it seems possible that at some distant past, there were these people from the stars that used to visit and probably helped guide civilization. They guided simple peoples to learn how to do things that maybe they didn't know. It's like they came down like tutors from the stars. But then they kind of just stopped showing up. And it kind of makes you think, well, is this some kind of grand test? Did they come down and give us enough information then just to see what we would do with it? So they go back and just sit back and watch like, yeah, we taught them how to make a sword. Look what they did with it. We taught them how to, use chemicals. Now look what they're doing with it, and maybe it's some test where we're really failing. I don't know, but I wish they would have kept coming around. It's like going to the first day of school and getting some books thrown at you. And then the teachers just sit in the lounge watching a camera. Are they studying? Are they? It's like, yeah, you think? They're probably not studying. They're probably not worrying about the books. They're, who knows what they're doing. But I just wonder, if that was the case, why did they quit? Why did they stop? They had the chance, they had an opportunity to guide us to maybe a brilliant, beautiful future, if that is indeed true. But yet they stepped back. That had to have been calculated. That's not by chance. So what was it all for? I don't know. It's just things I think about. That's what goes on in here, and it's crazy sometimes. But I don't know if you guys got any answers. I'd love to hear them or any thoughts. But maybe that could be a question of the week. I'll send that to Chucky, see if he'll ask it. And then you guys can tell me what you think. Perfectly good. Okay, so this has been a production of the Discord Question of the Week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please get involved in the Discord. We'd love to have more of you over there, taking part in this discussion and many more. Again, all these different groups are jam-packed with tons and tons and tons of links and information that if you're into any of these subjects of the paranormal, one of these lists is going to excite you, and maybe all of them will. But there's a lot of cool stuff being posted here. And, special thanks to the admins over there doing a hell of a job keeping the roof on things as well. A lot of them are actually mods here in the YouTube chat, so that's how we roll. But anyway, let's get back to the rest of the show. I did want to discuss one more thing with you guys too. So it's kind of a news item, but it's kind of different. I stumbled across it, and I just wonder what your take is on it or what you think. So this has been the Discord question of the week. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I forgot to turn that off and that off. Okay. There we go. We are back at it. All right. So I want to pull up this article. It's actually just a kind of a meme, and I stumbled onto it on Facebook, but I thought, well, this is interesting. And I'll tell you why it's interesting and after I read you the details of it, because it's one of those things that on first blush, it looks like, oh my God, that's incredible. This could be actual evidence of visitations by extraterrestrials in ancient races. But then I checked out other sources about it and got a little different take on it. So here it is. Let me get this up so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Here's the article, or the meme. And it's got this picture of these stones. I don't think these are actually pictures of the stones in question, but they're cool looking stones anyway. They're beautiful. In 1990, Angelo Pittoni, an Italian geologist, bought some unusual blue stones from a Fula chief in Sierra Leone, West Africa. The tribe claimed that the stones were acquired from beings who came from the sky. After returning to Europe, Pittoni had the mysterious rocks examined at a university, and the results showed that they did not match any known mineral. Now, instantly, that story just goes, whoa. Not only do you have a claim, and it's a sensational claim, but apparently there's scientific evidence to back up the fact that, look, this ain't from here. It came from somewhere. Now, I did do some research on Angelo Pittoni, and I found a Wikipedia article. However, they don't mention anything about these stones allegedly being given to them by people from the stars. And the suggestion is that they were possibly recovered from a meteorite or something that crashed down, and maybe that was interpreted by the chief or the tribe as being given by the people of the stars. So it sounds, on first blush, it sounds sensational. It's like, wow, here's a tribal history of getting a gift from some extraterrestrial beings, giving them something that they could not have otherwise had. But is that a tribal interpretation? So it really, when you look at things like this online, the reason I'm pointing it out is because I think it's important to still dig into things. After you read little clips like this, it sounds sensational. It sounds fantastic. It sounds out of this world and amazing. But once you look into it, that it might be a little more mundane. Not that it makes the rocks any less spectacular, but it becomes something that they recovered maybe from a meteorite impact or something around their tribal area. And maybe that was interpreted by them as the gift from the sky people. But you guys be the judge. What do you guys think of that? If any of you want to look into it further, I'd love to hear what you find out. I just looked into it just a little bit. Looks kind of like pieces of the firmament. Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, it's actually pieces of the sky. That's part of the dome, keeping the lid on the flat earth. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get into flat earth debates, honestly. I don't have much time for it personally, because at the end of the day, I still got the bills I got to pay. I still got the problems I got to deal with. And it doesn't really matter what shape the world we live on is. Don't forget the TikTok I sent of the huge figure on the Rocky Outcrop. Oh, yeah. That looks like a face. It does. Is that what you're talking about? I'm trying to think. TikTok I sent. Where'd you send it to me, Rachel? Because I get tons of stuff all the time. Did you send it in email? I think I know what you're talking about because I remember looking at something that was maybe from you, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me check this out quick. I think it was via email, if I'm not mistaken. But let me look now. No. I might have to do a search. Is it from email, Rachel? Can you tell me, please? Rachel. Here we go. This one. Giant. No. Was it from Anomaly? No. I don't even know. This is so small. I got to make it bigger. I got to make it bigger so I can see here. I got things from March. You sent me things in March via email, but that's definitely not what we're looking for here. Where did you send it? No, Brandon, it's on it's on TikTok. Well, that would, yeah, if I was on the right place, that might help, right? Let's see. Let me go over to TikTok. Oh, shoot. I screwed something up there. All right, let me pull that up and we'll have a look at that. TikTok. Thank you, Rachel. I do see what you guys send. I just don't always remember where I saw it, which is kind of tragic, really. Let's see. It's opening. Let's have a look in just a sec. Oh, maybe I didn't even look at it yet. Let me click this. Hard to get to area if it's human, but maybe Bigfoot. Oh, yeah, I don't think I saw this yet. Or did I? What am I talking about here? Is it the newest one that you sent? Or is it the one before that? No. Let's see. I just got to look. I just don't know.
Oh no, that thing's kind of creepy.
Oh yeah. Let's check this out. Let's pull it over, and you guys can have a look. Can I have a look with me? This is somebody's TikTok. Who is this? From Token Ginger 2.0. And I have not looked at this, so I'm going to be seeing it for the first time with you. Let me pull it up here to make sure it's good. I got to do this, don't I? There we go. Oh my God, I never had that on screen. Did I never put that up on screen? No, I did, didn't I? The blue rocks. Let's do this.
Oh no, that thing's kind of creepy.
Oh wow,
like
look at
a person's silhouette up in them clouds. I'm sorry. If it was your mountain, I'm sorry I broke it.
No kidding. Wow, that's crazy. Huh. Quick, pull out the crappiest phone you got and hit record. That's a great take. It's not a bad recording. It's just way far away. I mean, it's not like cell phones are meant to be telephoto zooming. That's cool. Yeah. Whatever that is, it doesn't seem like it would be a person, right? To me, that looks a little funny. All right, and there's the blue rock again in case, I don't know if I had it up on screen the right way or not. I think I did. But yeah, very cool, Rachel. Thank you for sending that to me. I had not seen that before. But that does look like a big bulky figure sitting up there, standing up there on top of that rock, which doesn't look like a good place for a person to be standing at all. And you're right. How did they get there? That's weird. Very, very weird. Very crazy. All right. I haven't even looked at my TikTok for a long time. Wow. Okay. Still getting good views though. And if you haven't seen me on TikTok, just look for Brent Thomas 163 or just look for Paranormal Portal. You'll have my picture on it. And you can follow me on TikTok and spread the word. Because I'm everywhere. I'm like a bad rash. All right, very cool. Yeah, that's the wild stuff. So that one, I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's linked to your TikTok page. Okay. It's linked to your TikTok page. Okay. Comments want to make things random. Glazed creatures. Oh, governments will want to make things of our imagination. The lasers, the transporters. Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. Right. Very cool. But that's a great catch. I love when you guys send me stuff like that because yeah, I really, I do my best to check out things when I can, but I've usually got my nose to the grindstone in a lot of ways, and I don't have the opportunity to just go out and, look in real robust sessions. Just here and there is whatever makes it to my feeds or whatever you guys send to me is what I see. It is crazy how much I've seen, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I looked into this stuff aggressively for years and years, and then started doing a show and looked into it even more aggressively for years and years, and then talking to people. It's like, again, when I started doing this show, I was like, yeah, I could do a paranormal show. I know that stuff. And then I started doing it, and I was like, I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. There's so much that's new to me that I can't believe how I lived my whole life without knowing a lot of it. Anybody seen Portal Mom tonight? I don't know if she said hello at the beginning of the show or not. It just occurred to me. Is that Twitch chat on the left of YouTube? No. What? Oh, that. What is that? No, that's from the Facebook page. It's a Facebook page, so if I lower it, you can see a little better. But it's a screen I dragged over. It's just a window I pulled out and dragged over. So no, that's not Twitch chat. We're not multi-streaming yet. I did a test stream earlier though, and it seems to be working pretty good. But I definitely, have some learning to do. I was wondering about Portal Mom too. Yeah, I don't know. Wonder where she is. How's it going, audio? How's it going, man? All right, so I don't know. I just wanted your take on this because it's one of those odd stories. What do you think? Is it most likely just a meteorite, or is that the cover-up? Is that the way they cover it up? Oh no, it was just recovered, just symbolically given to them by the sky people. I think it's really cool if it was hand delivered. It's like, here you go. Now, recently we talked about Betty and Barney Hill. I think it was last show when we talked about the article on unexplained-mysteries.com. They revisited the story of Betty and Barney Hill. And one of the interesting parts of that story is that allegedly Betty seemed to be having no problem at all during this entire experience of being on the alien craft and stuff. In fact, it was almost a real casual experience for the most part. Barney, on the other hand, didn't seem to be having much fun at all. And I don't know if it was the different testing or if it was just he was more resistant and just freaking out or what the situation was. But apparently Betty started talking to them and had a dialogue with these extraterrestrial visitors. And they were, they told her that this is where they're from. They showed her the star chart that she eventually remembered under hypnosis and then wrote down, which ended up pretty much being pretty conclusively is believed to be the Zeta Reticuli clusters, which weren't known back then, which had been just discovered since then. So it's very, very powerful that she had seen that and had been explained that, including traffic routes, shipping routes that they use between the stars, as a matter of their commerce or living their lives or whatever. Additionally, they told her a bunch of information, and she saw like some kind of book, and it, quote unquote book. I don't know if it was a book like we have books, but it was some kind of like module of information that she called it a book, and she said, "Can I have this book?" And the commander of the craft said, "Yeah, sure, take that." And she was about to leave, and then one of the other aliens interjected and said, "No, you can't take that," and then grabbed it from her. So she almost was able to walk away with something of this experience, something very tangible. And I don't know if it was something that could have been read anyway. I mean, probably is in a language she didn't understand, but that would have been interesting to look at whatever that information was and see if it could be discerned and possibly translated. But wow, she almost had one. But then, and the one guy was like, yeah, take it. Go ahead. I mean, he seemed to be very cordial and kind and pleasant. But the other one was like, nope, you cannot leave with that. And so I don't know if the one that said that was the one more in charge than the other one or how it went, but it seemed like he was the crabby one. Hi to everyone who said hi. Hi, Joe Snore. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in and checking out the show. But the Betty and Barney Hill story is still a hell of a story. If you're not familiar with it, I really recommend you check it out. I mean, if you're not into reading, then go check out YouTube videos where they discuss it. There's so much information out there and lots of curiosities. And there's, like I said, her dress was damaged, and there was a weird paste on her dress that they had tried to do some testing on, but it was inconclusive what it was. So this weird medicine or treatment or something that she was given that they didn't know what it was. So I find that incredibly interesting. But yeah, there's so many of those stories. There's so many of those incredible abductions. Now, I will say there's plenty of abduction cases that are not nice. They're not good. I've talked to several experiencers that had nightmare experiences being abducted, even throughout their whole life. Oh, there's Mom. Okay, good to see you, Mom. I'm glad you're here. I didn't know. I didn't see you say anything, so just checking on you. Sounds like Betty was given the seeds of future education for humanity that we someday will put together in a future where we communicate with the aliens. Wouldn't that be something? I imagine it's possible. I think, honestly, on a very fundamental level, I think everything is interconnected, right? Like we are part of the entire cosmos. In fact, our bodies are composed of matter that was created in the heart of stars. I mean, if you think about the beauty of that and also the interconnectedness of that, it's incredible that the universe is literally a part of us very physically, but I think energetically as well. We are fundamentally a part of this, and it's a part of us. I think that's how some people can access the Akashic records. If you're familiar with that, it's like the knowledge of all things on a higher plane or reality than the one we inhabit. It's why telepathy happens. It's, premonitions happen because of it. There's just this incredible interconnectedness that we're just very, very basically vaguely aware of. And perhaps these other entities are, that have been around for a lot longer, advancing for a lot longer than we have, they've mastered it. So many abduction situations talk about how they had discussions, but nobody's mouths were moving. Nobody was actually making sound, but they're hearing the voices in the head. So it's like this powerful telepathy. Well, maybe you don't need to be able to communicate across the stars, because if quantum entanglement is a thing that shows if you had two parts of an atom at different ends of the entire universe and you moved one, the other one at the same time in real time would move exactly the same way. And that's quantum entanglement. So that seems to suggest that space and time really isn't what we think it is, because otherwise you move one and maybe 400 million years later, the other one would move because there's all this space in between. But for some reason, if you by being quantumly entangled, if you move one, the other one moves in the exact same time and direction and wave as the other one. So that to me is incredible. I mean, it's just pow. There's so much out there. It's on Brent's screen too. What's on my screen? Fire in the Sky was a good movie. Oh yeah. The number's right here. Right down below me. If you look right there. It's right on my lower third, as it were. So, who's calling in? Someone calling? I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. I'm looking to see. But the number's there if you want to call. It is fascinating, isn't it? Simple parts of the future that we can safely put together. After all, the humans are the children of the universe, so we're given parts that won't hurt us. No sharp edges. Yeah. We're definitely in the padded room for sure. Nothing sharp and pokey. We managed to make sharp and pokey all by ourselves. All right, there is a call coming. Let me take a drink first and I'll answer this. Refreshing. Okay. Let's see who's calling. And tonight's caller, area code 309. You're on the air.
Hey, Brent. It's me. It's Audio. What's
Audio.
up, Joey?
How you doing, Joey?
I'm good. I'm going to take a drink, too. 1 second.
Okay. Where are you at now?
Okay, so excuse me. I'm in a place called Wolf Island, and don't even go there. Don't you dare. No, I'm in a place called Wolf Island. It's between Kentucky and Missouri. So I left Illinois. Listen, do you know that Southern Illinois has been like for 7 days straight beautiful, like 50s, 60s.
Wow.
Just beautiful. Like right now, I think it's like 49 or something like that.
Wow, that's
But
spectacular.
yeah, so I'm out of Illinois. I'm in between Kentucky and Missouri.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and say hello. I'm on this beautiful island. I'm eating some flathead catfish. I've been eating a lot of catfish. Go figure.
Oh, yeah. You might be glowing
you can probably
eating
hear those.
all that Mississippi fish. You might be glowing by the time your journey's over eating all that Mississippi fish.
I know, right? I know.
Oh.
Trust me, I thought about it.
Nah.
But when I restock, like I'll get some like just other things that from the store and a lot, beans and stuff like that I can spice things up pretty good. But I'll tell you what, man, oil is another thing. I'm willing to take that weight on. Having some cooking oil.
Oh, sure.
I like some fish nuggets. But yeah, things have been interesting, man.
So
my sister came and visited me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You had said last time I saw that you were feeling pretty worried. You were on an island or you were somewhere and it didn't feel comfortable.
Yes.
Everything went okay, or what happened?
Yeah, no, everything has been fine, but I'll say I've had some strange stuff happen. Like I've actually got to the point now, like, for example, I'm standing in a bunch of leaves. It's kind of an open area. And like a week ago, I would have been scanning like really fast, like my surroundings and stuff, just out of fear. I ain't gonna lie, just fear. I know it sounds crazy, but now I just kind of just deal with it, and it's kind of getting enjoyable now. This trip's great, man.
Good for you.
It's great.
Good for you. Yeah, and
there's a farm. I'm next to a farm right now, and I can actually. I think there's the farm. They have dogs or something over there because there's. But what were you saying, Brent?
I was just going to let the listeners know that are out there that may not be familiar with this. Our friend Audio, who's calling in, is also.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
He's also in the chat room. He is kayaking from Illinois down to the Gulf of Mexico, and he's currently between Missouri and Kentucky. You said, working his way down the Mississippi River. So he's been calling in to let us know he's kind of on a quest, but also looking for any unusual, unknown stuff. Bigfoot, Dogman, and
that's right.
Whatever else you can run into. So it's quite an adventure.
That's right.
That's crazy.
Hey,
brother.
check it out. So if you look at Google Earth and you go down and you look between Kentucky and Missouri, you'll see something called Wolf Island. And there's this middle bar Channel Island that I was on last night. I'm now on the mainland. It's called Wolf Island. You can look right down at it. Because I don't know, for some reason I just wasn't feeling so hot on that middle island, so I wanted to take a little bit of a break. So I would be farther south. I would be way farther south, but I just kind of chilled out because Illinois, like I said, has had like almost 70-degree weather for the past
fantastic
6 days. It's amazing. It was amazing. So I took advantage of it. But yeah, nothing really crazy's happened, but I make sure that the GoPros are going And I'm already convinced that, I mean, when I get in these remote areas, I'm convinced that something strange is going to happen eventually. I'm just to the point of how I'm going to deal with it. I've been thinking a million times, what am I going to do if I,
Yeah.
how am I going to do? I'm just going to be humble and be nice and, hey, I'm your friend.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Just passing through. Don't mean any disrespect, that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's plenty of indication to
Exactly.
suggest, there's at least suggestion that maybe some of these things understand our language. The First Nations, some tribes had a history of trading with them, so they would have had to have communicated somehow. And there's lots of stories of
that's
them.
true.
Lots of stories of them mimicking speech, and mind speak, of course, is another thing. So, yeah, just be humble, and I'm sure you'll be fine. But it's
I always think that too, kind of like just they can sense your energy anyways.
Yeah.
And I always have a good one. Like I'm just like I said, I kind of got past that fear thing because I was stopping in places like, I mean, right now I can see a city in the distance, but and I heard I think there's a big cornfield over here or some type of field because I thought I'm sure I heard two dogs barking.
Oh, sure.
But anyways, I've gotten past the fear thing. Well, not really. I'm just past the shock of what I was doing because like I would like pull up in these areas. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting a kayak and do this thing. Even though I planned, when you get in places that there's no lights and there is nothing, you start thinking differently.
Yeah.
And
sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's going well. And, I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself. I know that this is an incredibly important journey for you personally, and I'm glad it's going well.
Thank you. At the last place I got a really good meal. I actually got a nice ribeye steak and some peppers and stuff, and I made myself a really nice meal. And the place I got it from was Cape Girardeau, and I think there was like some crazy UFO stuff that happened in there. Do you remember Cape Girardeau, Southern Illinois?
I don't, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think there's been UFO stuff
I feel like there
everywhere.
was like a major one there. I don't know.
There could very well be. I know I've never really gone through the MUFON histories and stuff, and if it is, the one thing, I have a dyslexia for names, like I forget names all the time. So, if it could have been, I could have heard it a million times and still not remember it. So, yeah, you're probably right. Probably
right on.
But
right on. Well, listen, thank you for taking my call. And so far, everything's doing good. My sister has met up with me twice already because she's worried about me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm probably going to meet up with her many more times, but I'm doing good. And yeah, I've had a couple interesting things happen, and but we'll talk about that next time. So,
all right, brother.
When I have some more things, I just kind of want to basically, I'm thinking about taking the whole trip and just kind of collecting everything together and just, you
should get a journal.
Looking at it and seeing what I can do with it.
You should get a journal, and unless you already are, but just every night.
Oh, I am.
Okay,
I am.
good. Yeah,
I am.
Just take notes about what's happened, and yeah. At the end of it, look at it.
That's a good idea.
Might have a hell of a novel,
Well, for me, anyways, But I'll tell you what, I've had so listen. So normally, lately, I haven't been doing the tent at all. I've just been doing the hammock.
Oh.
But I swear to you, man, the times that I do the tent, there's weird shit happening. Weird stuff happening. I'm just so I've been doing the hammock,
Sure. Yeah. Well, if you feel safe, go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, as long
I've got a couple of videos. I got a couple of videos with me in the tent talking about it. So you'll see. Okay. I'll have it all together. But anyways, I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for taking the time and interrupting the show with me. Oh, no. But thank you so much.
Anytime, brother, and be safe and keep us posted, okay?
All right. And chat, Portal Mom, everybody, love you guys. Peace out. God bless. Bye.
All right, good night. Very cool. Wow. Yeah, he's a brave soul. There's no question. I wouldn't be kayaking down the Mississippi. I mean, it's something that I think would be wonderful to do. But man, I'm glad the weather's cooperating with him because, when it gets cold, it gets way cold. And I'm glad he's had great weather. That's really serendipitous, I guess, that he decided to do that. And it's like things have lined up for him to make sure that he has a good journey. So that's really cool. Seems like your steps are guided, audio. That's very awesome. All right. Very cool. So that's our audio update tonight. Glad to hear everything's going good. And I guess we're going to move to the next part of the journey. I guess I can close this. Yeah, that Facebook thing kind of like tripped me out. I was like, oh, really? From the Star People. And then it was like, oh, it's from Iraq. Sorry, that blue stone was just, I thought that's amazing. I like the version of the chief had, because I think that's beautiful. Oh, yeah, found out there in little sticks. All right, we're going to get to some articles now. And we're going to go to Phantoms and Monsters, because Sasquatch Chronicles didn't have any new postings today for listener emails. He's got a lot of new stuff on the blog, but not for the listener emails. So we're going to go to Phantoms and Monsters. I got a few articles pulled up. What time is it? Oh, yeah, it's 8:19. I guess it's crazy. We're going to get into some Bigfoot reports from Phantoms and Monsters. Again, this is Lon Strickler's site. Does a wonderful job. Lon's incredible in a lot of ways. I mean, he's great. He's a great guy to talk to. His site, Phantoms and Monsters, has been amazing for years. I've read it long before I had a show myself. I just have always liked reading encounter stories. And if you like reading people's firsthand encounters, then this is a great site for you as well, because Lon has just catalogs of them. Different ones, Dogman encounters, Black-Eyed Kids encounters, White Crawler encounters, Bigfoot, everything in between. A lot of Fortean topics over there, so check it out. And find out about Lon's podcast, Phantoms and Monsters Radio. That is a great show as well, and it's a great opportunity to listen to Lon talk about these stories himself. He was the guy that researched them, so what a great opportunity. And check out his published works and so much more. Again, phantomsandmonsters.com. Support the man's work. All right, let's go to there, and we're going to pick up this story. It says, wild account, Bigfoot aids. Wait, we did this one. Another wild account. Wild account. Host doesn't close his tabs. I'm glad I read that headline there. Here it is. Here's the actual story for tonight. Oh, God, I'm such a dork. All right. Colorado outdoorsman amazed by his first Sasquatch sighting. Oftentimes, in fact, a lot of the biggest detractors of Sasquatch are outdoorsmen. I've been out in those forests since I was a little kid. Always out hunting and fishing and doing everything, hiking. I never saw nothing. There ain't nothing out there like that. Until they see one. And then the whole thing changes. Then it's a whole different story. Unfortunately, those same people oftentimes are so horrified that they lose that. They lose their ability to get out to the woods, the thing that was such an important part of their lives. You know, it could be generational. They learned to hunt from their father, who learned from his father, and so on and so on. And then this sighting will happen, and it just shatters these people. Not everyone, but several. I've talked to several people who lost the ability to go out and do something they loved because they just weren't prepared for what they saw, that they knew didn't exist, you know, and I think a lot of them are very like, oh, there's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of BS, until it's not BS and it's standing right in front of them at 10 feet tall. Then it's no longer BS, and they'll sell their gear. They'll just stay in the house watching TV. A Colorado outdoorsman is a target shooting near his home. As he was cleaning up, he heard a distinct whistle coming from the woods. As he leaves, he spots a Sasquatch in his rear view mirror. Oh, man. I live in the Colorado Rockies at 8,600 plus feet in elevation. God, he's way up there. It is beautiful country, and I'm an avid outdoorsman, horseback riding, fishing, hunting, and just driving any back road I can find wherever I can. This morning, I drove to a shooting area in the National Forest about 5 miles from my house. It was a great morning for shooting. The sun was shining and not a cloud in the sky, just a light breeze coming down off the Continental Divide. After about an hour and a half of practicing, the ammo was all gone. As I was gathering my empty brass and shot up targets, I had the feeling there were eyes on me. Well, I scanned the meadow and tree line all around as I continued collecting range trash, and I couldn't see anything to speak of, but my attention kept coming back to some deep shadows in a cluster of big old spruce trees about 100 yards away. I finished loading the trash on the back of my truck and turned to face the cluster of spruces. And I said out loud, "I can feel you watching me. I'm just passing through. We'll leave you be." I turned to open the door of my truck, and that's when I heard a very distinct throat-toned whistle come from the shadows of the spruce. I got in my truck with a quick wave towards the direction the whistle came from. I started the engine and drove off towards home down the rutted four-wheel drive trail. I glanced in the rearview mirror just in time to see a very large upright creature covered in dark brown hair stepped out of the spruces and head west diagonally across the meadow. I slammed on the brakes and spun around in my seat to try to catch sight of it before it disappeared into the timber in a matter of seconds. But it was gone. I couldn't believe it. I had just seen an actual Sasquatch. I'd seen some questionable tracks a couple decades ago. I've heard some questionable noises before and had the feeling of being watched before, but today it actually happened. I actually saw one with my own two eyes in broad daylight. I still don't quite know what to say, but thanks for providing a place to share this experience. Yeah, that's incredible. Again, just a rear view, but it's better than no view. This one didn't seem so heart-wrenching as a lot of them. I think the guy handled it really well. It's like, I know you're there watching me, just passing through. Again, just like I told audio, it's like, you know, address them. Hey, I mean no harm. If they don't understand the words, maybe they can understand your emotion. Like, hey, you know, no harm, no foul, just looking at the sights, passing through. And I think they can pick up on that. And the reason I say that is because even when you're speaking of dogs, and I'm referring to Caesar, the dog whisperer, all the time in this, because he said the problem with hyperactive dogs is their owners. And I think he's right. The dogs are cueing off of the emotion of the owners. And you have to get yourself really relaxed and in the right mindset, and your dog will settle down. And he demonstrates that over and over. So that might not be a telepathy, but it's definitely a strong empathy that these dogs have with their owners. And if dogs can do it and people can do it, there's plenty of people that are empathic out there and know what I'm talking about. You can feel when things aren't right. You can feel when people aren't right, when something's wrong. And I think these things can as well. They're just able to sense it. So I think that's pretty powerful stuff. So just be peaceful. Even wave to it. And I think honestly, the thing probably knew the guy was going to be looking, and I think they maybe have an understanding of mirrors. You know, they probably have looked at our vehicles when we're not around them and seen their own reflection, kind of gotten aware of the fact that we can see backwards through those devices. Maybe I'm speculating a lot, but if they're as intelligent as I think they are, they probably understand that even when you're driving away, you might be able to see them, and I think they show themselves. They let people see them. So I think it's very cool stuff. All the same, I think it's cool. So I think that's a great story. Guy handled it well and seemed to have taken it in stride as well. So more power to him. All right, let's get to the next one from Phantoms and Monsters. This one's almost an Albert Osman type of story. Albert Osman was the gentleman up in the Toba Inlet in Canada who was abducted by a Sasquatch and taken for 3 days into the mountains far from where he was abducted, and had to hang out with a a Sasquatch couple and their 2 kids, a male and female child. Basically, they were about 6 foot tall or better, all of them, but the big male was huge. Carried Albert Ostman for like 3 hours while he was still in his sleeping bag. He was all zipped up in his sleeping bag, and the thing carried him like a sack of potatoes 3 hours over the mountains. And yeah, I mean, you want to talk about strength. You lift a sack of potatoes for 20 minutes and you're going to be feeling it. And this thing traversed mountains carrying him over its shoulder. Just like, boom. So, a crazy story. If you're not familiar with Albert Ostman and his story, God, you got to check it out. I mean, I have no doubt the guy is absolutely sincere. He was cross-examined many times, wrote affidavits to the fact that what he said was true. And he was known as a very honest person. He wasn't a BSer. He wasn't looking for fame. He was just like, this happened to me. So I think it was in the 1920s when he had his experience, but it might have been, no, I think it was about 1920. I covered it on the podcast. I think it was season 1. I covered the Albert Ostman story. So if you go to season 1, you can hear me read the entire account. Here we go. Quebec experiencer recalls his Sasquatch-like captor abduction. I don't know what this means because it almost looks like UFO-y too. Maybe it's UFO extraterrestrials that look like Sasquatch. I don't know. A Quebec experiencer describes his bizarre abduction by a Sasquatch-like being and the subsequent high strangeness that accompanied the encounter. I received the following account. At a young age, experiences which I have now come to suspect as being abduction experiences occurred with terrifying frequency. For many decades, I was convinced they were nothing more than the recurring nightmare, but now I'm not so sure. The best I can tell, it first began in 1976, August 7th, when I was living in Chateauguay, Quebec, Canada. The experience begins after I'm put to bed. Despite my protests that leaving me alone in my bedroom would result in harm to me by unknown entities. Shortly after being put to bed, the red eyes would appear right outside of my bedroom window. They seemed to hang there, though I was never once able to make out any physical body that housed these terrifying eyes. Though I have memories of these eyes communicating with me, despite their lack of a mouth, sometimes they would be reassuring and other times they were terrifying in their cold calculatedness. I would always fight the desire to sleep because I somehow knew that the eyes were waiting for me to fall asleep before they'd be able to interfere with me. I was never once able to avoid falling asleep, though. I tried valiantly. Inevitably, my eyelids would begin to droop, and before long I was being carried in the arms of a Sasquatch-like being, whose arms and legs were covered in thick black fur. I don't recall being able to discern any facial features of the creature, as every time I tried to make eye contact, as it was if my mind blurred out the terrifying face. I should have been able to see, and I also do not remember there being any foul stench, as normally associated with Sasquatch. And that's not really true, though. There is an association with smell with Sasquatch, but it's not consistent. It's just situational. I would then be carried out of my bedroom and down the stairs to the landing on the main floor, where the kitchen, living room, and the hallway, which leads to the front door, meet. Once there, I'm frantically looking around as I am screaming in terror for anyone to save me. Though I distinctly remember not being able to get away from the beast, no matter how I tried. I was able, however, to gain a fairly good peripheral view of my surroundings, and I noted that the entire family was seated in the living room in the middle of the night, and in various stages of undress, and they seemed to be playing cards. And this led me to believe that they were engaged in a game of strip poker. What? What the hell? Yeah, come on. What? Every member of this staunchly Catholic and severely sexually repressed family was seated there, half naked or more, and fully engaged in a game of cards. From my grandmother right to my 6-year-old sister. Oh, come on. All were solely... Come on, really? I don't even know if I want to read any more of this. I screamed and screamed, but no one ever gave the slightest indication they could even hear me, much less respond. Then the beast turned right to exit the front door. This is where it varies on occasion. Sometimes it ends abruptly with the opening of the screen door, and others it ends with me being handed off to something I could not see, which carried me up the ladder to some sort of craft, which I also could not see, and it felt as though my body was being fully supported at all pressure points by unseen force. And later on, as these experiences continued, I remember being whisked into a blindingly white room onto a bed. I don't remember the facial features of the beings in that room with me, as I was never able to see any faces clearly. It was like they were always blurred out. I could see every other detail perfectly, but never their faces. I remember taking something out of my head through my right nostril. They only did this once that I recall. I remember waking up the next morning with an unexplained nosebleed. Nosebleeds are not something I've ever had before nor since. I don't know. That to me sounds more like a fever dream than anything. When I was a kid, I had a fever and I I had a nightmare that Frankenstein and Dracula were in the kitchen making toast. That was my dream. That was my horrible, scary nightmare dream. It's obviously I didn't have Frankenstein and Dracula making toast, but I don't know what to make of that kind of stuff. That's where it just gets really weird because, God, there's Freudian symbolism all over that thing. Anyway, let's just move along. I don't know what to say. I don't have any words anymore. I'm all done wording. Sorry, I put you guys through that. I didn't know. All right, let's go to the next one from Fandoms and Monsters. And this is bizarre hooded red robe figures observed in Knoxville, Tennessee church parking lot. This may be more spiritual or occultish, or I don't mean occult because occult is really a misleading term. Occult just means hidden. So any secret societies or secretive groups could be called occult groups, and that doesn't mean that they're evil. There's a belief in a lot of folds that say occult is evil, it's devil stuff, and it's really not. But anyway, let's see what this says, I guess. It sounds more like a spiritual manifestation, but I don't know. Bizarre red robe figures in Knoxville, Tennessee church parking lot. A group of university friends were driving around after leaving a local bar when they observed 6 figures in a Baptist church parking lot, dressed in hooded red robes. Who were they? That's a great question. This is a true account, even though it is difficult for me to believe sometimes. This occurred right after I graduated from high school in the spring of 1973. That fall, a buddy and another friend of mine came over to my place. We live close to the University of Tennessee campus in Knoxville. We went over to get a pitcher of beer at a local watering hole, and there were no girls with us to bother us or anything like that. And we got a pitcher of beer and then came back to my neighborhood. One of us had to relieve ourselves, so we turned into a Baptist church parking lot that I've attended a time or two. We turned up into the driveway, and there were about 6 characters dressed in cowled red robes like a monk wears, hoods, robes, all the way down to the ground. So we come around the corner of this church, and my buddy was driving his beat-up old VW Beetle, freaked out, hit the reverse, made a U-turn, and got out of there. We tried to get him to go back, but of course, he wouldn't do it. The oddest thing about it was these people, whoever they were, seemed to move strangely. It almost looked like scattershot things, elbows rising, that sort of thing. They just kind of moved around the corner, and I wondered about that for all these many years. I haven't got a clue. All this time we just kind of figured it was devil worshippers, but if they were, why in a church parking lot? But I'll never know for sure, but it has me freaked out all these years. Sometimes groups like that would be moved to do whatever they can in a church just because of the whole idea of undoing a church or acting contrary to the church's mission, or corrupting. And I don't know. I mean, a lot of that I think is Hollywood, but I've no doubt that there are people that worship horrible things and do horrible things as a result of it. I don't doubt that. But what is real versus Hollywoodization? I don't know, and I really don't care to know. I don't mess with no dark. Well, how are we doing for time now? Because I might be farming for another article here. These are a lot shorter than I was expecting. Some of these are really long, and some of them are just brief. Here's another one. Funny bears. Wood boogers reported in central Georgia landfill at night. And again, that's another one of those names, wood boogers, that are attributed to Sasquatch, Bigfoot. There's just so many names for Bigfoot. It's crazy. And there a lot of them are regional. But I think, for a long time, these names kind of existed in their own demographic, that was like, in these states, they're called this. And in these states, it's called this. Because I think these were kind of regarded as regional phenomena. And so they came up with a regional name to identify the phenomena. I don't know about wood boogers, though. I suspect the name boogers probably goes back much, much older, but just ended up being used to describe these, hairy hominid creatures. But, if you go up into Ohio, it's the grassman, the Ohio grassman, called the grassman because they apparently make nests out of this long grass. And some of them are these big dome-like structures. It's pretty crazy, but there's all kinds of regional names for Bigfoot. And then the name Bigfoot came out, and Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and suddenly all these regional names are like, well, we got those, but we call them this. So it took a unifying term to really help to identify the fact that this phenomena is not just regional, it's actually national and global. But it takes a term of understanding that all people, all the people involved can go, oh, wait, we got them here. We call them this. We call them that. So it's all in the advent of language. All right, so funny bears, wood boogers. See what's going on here. A central Georgia landfill operator wanted to close before the sun went down because of the funny bears that would come around. He was referring to the local Bigfoot. In 2017, my son-in-law built my daughter a house on land that I'd given them and I was his helper. One afternoon, I took a load of scrap to the landfill in the adjacent county and arrived late just before closing. The sun was going down early because it was late fall, and the guy operating the landfill seemed ready to leave and wanted me to hurry. I told him I would hurry, but I asked what was up. I'd been there multiple times, but earlier in the day, but he never seemed to be so nervous. And he said, the funny bears come out after dark and got scraps of food from the landfill. And I asked him, what's a funny bear? He said they live in the woods and some folks call them wood boogers. I told him I knew what those were. I had my October 1980 face-to-face encounter with these wood boogers, or Bigfoot, in Kalawee, North Carolina, with one up in a tree that whistled, getting my attention. The landfill is two miles west of the Ocmulgee River in central Georgia, and it's all woods and swamp east of the river. Yeah, I'm sure. I imagine probably just like black bears are known, a lot of bears are known to frequent landfills and dumps and stuff. I'm sure wood boogers, Bigfoot, take advantage of those things as well. It's interesting that it's just kind of a known fact. Like, hey, I want to get out of here. The funny bear's coming. It's like, well, get some cameras. You're sitting on an amazing discovery, but he doesn't care. He just wants to get the hell out of there before the funny bears come. Obviously, he's pretty nervous about them, right? So that's kind of strange, I would think. It's been real quiet over there on the other table tonight. It's fine. That's just how it works. They're not on our schedule. They're on their own schedule, if they're indeed here. But it's kind of crazy. The last time we did this, the REM pod and the yes no detector, and we're pinging just fine. So I do have to pull up some more stories, folks. So just stand by, because I ran out of I ran out of material here. All of those stories from Phantoms and Monsters were actually quite small, quite short. So let me just do some scrolling here and get past these. Let's not do that one. Oh, here we go. This one sounds kind of cool but creepy. So hold on, open link, new tab. Let me cut and copy this URL. This one may be enough, but I'll do it one by one, and we'll get to the end eventually. I mean, it's not like I don't have enough material. I just got to go farm it out. Special thanks to Lon for letting us use his Phantoms and Monster stories, because these are phenomenal. Phenomenal. All right. Here's the next one from Phantoms and Monsters. Did I fall a victim to a malevolent black-eyed man? You don't hear about black-eyed adults very often, but it's a real phenomena. Again, are they all interrelated? Maybe they are. Maybe there's some kind of race of other things that are here, and maybe they're not always here, but yeah. I mean, there's black-eyed adult stories out there. Sometimes they look really, I don't know, sinister. Sometimes they look really bizarre. The interesting thing is that honestly, there are stories out there, and how many of you guys watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Or any of those shows like that maybe even Supernatural is a good example. Supernatural. Did any of you guys watch Supernatural or Buffy the Vampire Slayer? The reason I ask is because there are stories of potentially demonically possessed people. And it's a state of perfect possession at this point. Like there really isn't any differentiating between the person and the possessing spirit anymore. So it's not like there's still the attrition and the struggling going on. It's whatever it is pretty much taken over. But something that many people have observed in encountering potential people like this, and maybe they're extraterrestrial, but they always assume there was some kind of demonic thing going on. But apparently the eyes can go jet black like that, just like boom. And they'll be looking at you with solid black eyes. And I don't know who, I don't care who you are. If somebody looked at me and suddenly their eyes went all black, I'd be like, yeah, nope, I'm done. So it's very creepy, very, very intimidating. So sometimes I hear these black-eyed adult stories and I wonder, well, could this just be something like that? Not that that's better or worse or otherwise. I just don't know, but it is interesting. Let's check out this story. It says, a man and his father are driving across the United States in an RV in Utah. When the man entered a convenience store, he encountered a young black-eyed man. He believed that he was a malevolent entity. I received the following account. In 2003, I was taking a trip across the country with my father from East Coast to West Coast. We had camped out for a couple of days in federal land in Utah and needed gas. It was an extremely desolate area, but we passed a little crossroads and there was a convenience store built on the side of a rock wall. When I walked in, I remember there was an old man behind the counter and a younger looking man in one of the aisles. No flags went off, just a normal setting. I was paying for the gas at the counter and the younger man came up behind me to stand in line. He kind of passed the boundary of my comfort zone, so I casually inched forward a bit. I think I've read this one before. But he did it again. So I gave him a sort of side glance, a quick glance to the eyes. Looking back at me were watery, completely jet black eyes. I only glanced at them for a split second, but it was enough to start the process of what I saw. The hair on the back of my neck went up immediately. It freaked me out, but I left calmly. I got in the passenger seat of the RV. My father was done pumping gas, and we left. I didn't exactly have a feeling of fear, More just something I couldn't process from the norm. 2 days later, we made it to the West Coast near San Francisco. Headed north on the Pacific Coast Highway, and we made it to a campground in the small coastal town of Eureka, California, to camp and stay the night. The town had a movie theater that we could walk to from camp, so we caught a show, headed back for the night. I climbed up into the loft and fell asleep. About an hour later, I woke up with a fever of 104 and very weak. I woke my father, and he drove the RV to a hospital in town. In about 15 minutes, we were pulling into a parking lot. After waiting for a couple of minutes before going in, the fever broke. My temp dropped back to normal, but I felt worn out and drained from head to toe. I remained drained for a couple of days, but no fever. We stopped at a walk-in clinic in Eugene, Oregon to have some blood work done. Nothing abnormal was found, and I don't know if the sickness had any connection to the young black-eyed man I glanced at, but it has kind of haunted me in the back of my mind. My father was well aware of my description of the young man and was there firsthand to see this strange illness. We do still talk about that strange day 20 years later. Yeah, that's creepy. Again, with the black-eyed kids, oftentimes there's a sickness that's attributed to coming into contact with them. For the people that let them in, it can be extraordinarily bad. Weird infections. Sometimes people don't pull out of. I don't know what it is. If it's a pathogen or if is it a quote unquote curse of some kind? Is it an energetic thing? It's hard to say, but I mean, who knows what these things are? We could be just naturally allergic to them. You ever see that? What was that movie? God, I don't even remember. Maybe it was some of the Twilight Zones or whatever, but it was the premise for it was that this kid lives in this community, and it's just a normal community. But in the middle of the night, one night, there was an empty house next to him, but suddenly is occupied. And it's occupied by a strange old man, but the kid gets to know the man. And essentially what happens is the old man is a vampire, but what occurs, and the vampire guy says, I have to keep moving because it won't be long and they'll come for me. They'll come for me. And the kid's like, well, who will come for you? And he's like, everybody. And what happened is that in this story, the premise was that somehow through the course of time, people had developed a resistance to the vampire situation in that people would become these automaton monsters in their sleep. They would go to bed and they would just become these unstoppable monsters that would slaughter vampires in their sleep, and during the nighttime when vampires would, of course, be hunting. And so I just thought, wow, what an interesting take. Is there a way to, that people develop these resistances to dark things? Maybe. I don't know. Just kind of a weird musing, but it just popped in my head since we were talking about black-eyed kids, black-eyed adults, because there is a lot of similarities between that and the legendary tales of vampires. But, I don't know. Very weird. So how are we doing for time now? It's 8:51. I think that's a good place to probably finish the journey, because there isn't enough time to dig into another one, and there's not enough time just to shut it off. So there's enough time that I can talk to you for a while before we shut it off. So again, what do you think? Throughout the course of the show, it's never my objective to try to make you believe in anything. I'm a fan of Casey's Pizza. Con Squash, you mean that convenience store Casey's? Is that what you mean? Where are you from, Cons? I got to know, because back in Minnesota, there's Casey's as well. And I had Casey's Pizza too. And it's a convenience store. It's kind of like just a quick convenience store, but I'll be darned if the pizza isn't amazing. It's just really good. Kansas. Okay. He's in Kansas. Well, there must be the same chain of stores that's in Minnesota then? Do they have a red roof or whatever? A lighted fake roof on the front that says Casey's in yellow letters or something like that? Yeah. That would be funny if you're talking about the same pizza I am. Because they don't have them out here. They don't have them out here at all. It's the same, Con says. Okay. I asked the person making them, I'm like, what's so magic about your pizzas? I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, what's with the cheese? What are you using? And I felt stupid. He goes, mozzarella. But there's something really good about those damn pizzas. I don't know what it is. They have some magic sauce or what's going on. I don't know. But yeah, I thought there was some magical cheese blend they're using or something. I'm like, well, what kind of cheese are you using? And this guy goes, mozzarella. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Sorry. He wasn't, I wasn't having a conversation with Gordon Ramsay there. Let me just tell you that. Some minimum wage guy slapping cheese on a crust and calling it a day. And I'm like, what do you do to it? What makes it so good? Yeah. Mozzarella, apparently, ladies and gentlemen. Just mozzarella. That is some good cheese, though. I don't know. But there was this one, I don't usually do this, but since we got a few minutes left, there's this one pizza I used to have when I was graduated from high school, moved up in the cities, lived with a friend of mine up in an apartment in the Twin Cities area in Minnesota. And there was this pizza chain. It was called Broadway Pizza. And I'm here to tell you, there was a thin crust pizza that they made. It was just phenomenal. He and I would always get it the same way. It would be like extra cheese, sausage, and mushrooms. And it was always freaking amazing. But I don't have them out here. I haven't had that pizza for years. There's a pretty good pizza in my hometown, Red Wing. It's called Liberty's. That's a really good pizza too. But anyway, pizza rocks. Might be nature's most perfect food, honestly. Pizza. Yeah. So we should make a pizzeria, paranormal pizza. It's the Portal Pizza. Maybe that's the networking or the merchandising we can look into. Have animated like Bigfoot and stuff and Dogman, like a Chuck E. Cheese. Call it Portal Pizza. I don't know. Just the things I do. Always trying to work the angles. But let's see how we're doing for time. Oh, we got 2 minutes. Let me get over to here. I got to get the network timer up because that's what we're going on. 1:30 left. Remember, the next show for the Portal will be on Wednesday. I may be doing more testing, so if you see it, come online. Stop in and say hello. Help me test it while I'm trying to do the multi-streaming thing. Watch for the new podcast released on Monday. You can find our audio podcast on every player out there: iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Google Play, Stitcher, CastBox, iHeartRadio, and the list just goes on and on and on. So wherever you listen to podcasts, like Sasquatch Chronicles or The Confessionals or whatever, just do a search for Paranormal Portal and get subscribed. If you like what you're hearing, if they have the ability on that platform, give us 5 stars. I need 5 stars. The ratings are important. They really are, because a lot of people look at ratings before they'll even give it a listen. It's like, how's the ratings? Our ratings are pretty good. I do have some trolls out there that like to drop 1-star ratings, saying things like, oh, this is a MAGA podcast. I don't ever talk about politics, ever, but some idiot put that out there, and that's 1 star, and it's like, oh, and there's others. One other person was complaining about a guest that I had on, and they're like, oh, this person's a grifter or whatever, and they gave me 1 star. It's like, well, it's just one guest, for gosh sakes, and they're wrong about the person. But anyway, it's just the people being hateful. So if you find a good place, leave me a good review. All right. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. I'll be back Wednesday. We'll do it all over again. So until then, be good. Roll the credits.